Welcome back, and in this chapter we are going to talk about the AWS Cloudformation template and how you can use the Cloudformation template to create your first resource, which is going to be our S3 bucket. If you are new to the Cloudformation template, then don't worry, we are just going to cover everything from the very basic, and we are just going to create a simple S3 bucket using the Cloudformation so that you are able to understand like how you can create your first Cloudformation template, which is easy to understand. But let's take a look how the Cloudformation template works in AWS. Here onto the screen on the left hand side, you can see there is a YML file, and this YML file, which we call it as a Cloudformation template. So there is a service on AWS which is Cloudformation. So you need to upload this particular file to that Cloudformation service, which is, I'm writing it down over here as a CF. And once you upload that particular YML file or configuration, then that Cloudformation service parses that particular YML, and after parsing it, it generates the resource. So in our case, in this example, we are going to create our S3 bucket, but the same concepts applies for any services or any resources which you want to provision on AWS. Using the Cloudformation, you can create EC2, Lambda, EKS cluster, your serverless deployment. So all of those things can be created using our Cloudformation template. All right, so now let's take a look like how we can create our first resource, which is our S3 bucket using the Cloudformation template. And for that, I have created this GitHub repository, and there you will find all the code which is present or which we are going to cover in the today's session. So let's take a look onto the GitHub repository. So I'm just going to switch to my browser, and here you can see this is the GitHub repository where I have uploaded the code, and there is a file called CF-S3 bucket YML. And this is the YML which you need to refer for creating your S3 bucket for using our Cloudformation template. All right, so the same template I have opened in my editor, which is my Sublime editor, and let's take a look like what are the necessity parameter which we need to pass to create our S3 bucket. So here you can see there are a couple of parameters or variables which you can say in YML that we need to have a AWS template format version, which is provided from AWS. Then you need to add a suitable description to your Cloudformation template, and in this case I have just used test bucket using Cloudformation. After that, you need to define the parameters. I'm just going to explain those parameters, but consider those parameters as a variables to your Cloudformation template. And these variables can be like you are trying to assign a name to your resource, and in this case our resource is S3 bucket. So these parameters are just a variable which will contain the name of those resources. So for example, let's only focus on this part, which is bucket name. So I have created a variable which is called bucket name, type is a string, and the name of the bucket is this one, jhook test buckets with CF, which means this is the name of the bucket which I want to create. All right, so right now just to keep the thing simple, just focus on these 3 lines or 4 lines where I have added a tag like parameter, and here I have created my first variable. So the mandatory thing over here is that these 2 things where we have defined the version of a template, description, in the parameter where I have created a parameter with the bucket name, and after that the resource section where it is going to create our actual resource. So in the resource section you can see that here this is the type, which is AWS S3 bucket, and here this is the name of the bucket variable. So here you can see I'm passing the bucket name variable, and this bucket name variable which you can see I have been passing it from here. So here I need to use the reference so that I can point to that particular variable which is our bucket name. So this is how we are just going to pass the bucket name variable, and this is how we are just going to create our first S3 bucket. All right, apart from that, I'm just going to comment all of these section over here. I will comment out this section. I will comment out this section. Don't worry, I'm just going to show these all section one by one so that it is easy for you to follow along. As of now, let's comment everything so that the Cloudformation template looks a little bit simpler, and then we can increase the complexity. And this one also, yeah. So I think we have commented pretty much. So here it is again very simple now. The version, the parameters, although I have added a few more parameters over here, but you don't need to worry about those, are just an extra variables I'm passing. And here we are creating the bucket, and after that here is the output section where I'm just outputting the name of my bucket which I have just created. It is as simple as that. Okay, so I'm just gonna save this particular configuration, and then we are just gonna upload this configuration to our Cloudformation service. Here is my AWS console. In the search box you can look for the service like a Cloudformation, and then click on this Cloudformation service, and here you can see there are no previous Cloudformation stacks which I have created, and which we always call it as stacks. So there are no stacks which I have created in the past. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to click on here and create with new resources. Click on this one. And here there are a couple of options which you will find, like choose an existing template, use sample template, build from application composer. So what I'm just gonna do, I'm just gonna use sample template, and wait a minute, I need to change it, choose okay, so I'm just gonna choose existing template, and here I'm just gonna use the upload template file because I have stored my template onto my local system, so that's why I'm just gonna use this option. So here you will find a choose file option. Later on we are gonna see on like how we can update it from a Git also. If you have the same template, then you can also upload it from a GitHub repository, and that will also work for creating the resources using Cloudformation. But anyway, click on this choose file over here, and here I need to search, and this is my AWS S3. I'm just gonna move this window over here, and here you can see on the desktop I have saved this particular file onto my desktop on this location. So I'm just going to select that one, click on open, and then click on next. So here you can see this is the Cloudformation template which has been uploaded. But key thing which you need to remember over here is that once you create an or upload your Cloudformation template, then it is also going to create a one more S3 bucket where it is going to store that particular YML file. So here there will be two S3 bucket, one which we want to create, and one the AWS Cloudformation will create, where it is going to store that Cloudformation template, and which you can see it is from here. This is the one. So this is the Cloudformation template S3 bucket, which will be created by a Cloudformation service, not by us. Okay, and then it will store that formation template over there, and then it is going to create our own S3 bucket. All right, so now we have uploaded it. Then click on, before clicking over here, I would like to show you the S3 also, and go to S3 section over here. And here you can see there are few older bucket which I have created in the past, and here we are gonna see our new bucket as well. All right, and here let me see if I can copy this name from here and go over here and try to find that one. So here you can see before even it has executed our Cloudformation template, it has already created this bucket, which is going to be the upload section where our YML of our S3 bucket will exist. So this is not our bucket, but this is the bucket which has been created by a Cloudformation template. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and then click on next, and here you can see, so this is the parameter section which I was explaining to you in the Cloudformation template. So if I go over here, so here you can see this is the parameter section, and here we are passing three parameter: bucket name, access log bucket, and KMS key ARN. So which you can see access log bucket, bucket name, and KMS key ARN, the same parameter. And this parameter list you can keep on increasing if you need more variables into your Cloudformation template. All right, so click on next over here, and here we need to enter the name of stack. So I'm just gonna put Cloudformation stack for S3. All right, click on next, and here if you want to add certain tags, then you can add it. Otherwise I'm just gonna keep everything default over here. Click on next, and then after that I'm just gonna verify the thing. Here you can see these are the parameter. If you have any stack option, then you can pass. Otherwise I'm just gonna go forward and then click on submit over here. And here you can see the CloudFormation stack has started executing, and here you can see create in progress. So I'll be back once this CloudFormation template has executed, and then we are going to verify our S3 bucket whether it has been created or not. So after a few minutes, my CloudFormation stack has completed, and here you can see the create complete, which means our stack is already executed successfully. So let's go and verify our S3 bucket. So here in this tab, I have already opened my S3 section, and here you can see there are around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buckets which were present before, and I have not refreshed this page. So I'm just going to refresh this page, and I'm just going to look for the CloudFormation template S3 bucket which we wanted to create. So just refresh this page over here, and here you can see this is the new S3 bucket which we just created using CloudFormation, and which you can verify from here also. So this is the same name which we wanted to create our S3 bucket. So that is our first topic, like how to create your S3 bucket using the CloudFormation. So let's take a look onto our slide deck. So the second thing which we are going to take a look after creating your S3 buckets, how you can enable the KMS key encryption. That also you can do once you have created your S3 bucket using the CloudFormation template. And now we are just going to update and add more complexity to our CloudFormation template. Let's take a look onto our CloudFormation template, and here I'm just gonna enable few more sections. So let's take a look onto the KMS key section over here. So here I'm just gonna select those comments, and I'm just gonna enable that particular code. And here you can see the parameter or the tag which we need to use is bucket encryption. The server-side encryption configuration, and inside that server-side encryption configuration by default. And all of these configuration you can find it from your AWS documentation for S3 CloudFormation. All the informations are already available, so you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to remember anything. You just need to go to the AWS documentation, follow it, and just copy those configuration over here. All right. So here I need to pass one more thing, which is SSE algorithm, that is server-side encryption algorithm. So which is I'm just going to use is AWS KMS key. All right. And here we need to pass the KMS key ARN. So here again, if you see, this is the reference. So this is the variable name, and this variable I have defined it over here. And here I'm passing the KMS key of that particular, the ARN of that particular KMS key. So here you can see this is the KMS key which I have already created. So if you go back, and here if you try to search for KMS key, then you will all find that I have already created that KMS key. Go over here, and here is the KMS key, and this is the ARN which I have already copied, which is ending with 5DED. So which you can verify that, yeah, this is the same ARN I'm using. So here is the KMS key, and this KMS key will be used for S3 encryption. Whatever object you are going to upload on S3 is going to be encrypted using this KMS key. All right. So here, this is the section which I have added or enabled, and then I'm just going to save this particular YML file, and again go back to our CloudFormation template. Click on update over here and use existing template or replace existing template. So I'm just going to use the replace existing template, and here I'm just going to choose upload template file, choose the file, and here I'm just going to select the same CloudFormation template. Here you can see this is the same one which I have updated and saved again. Click on open, then click on next, and then click on next, and after that click on next, and then submit. And here you can see it is update in progress. So I'll be back once this is executed. All right. So after a few minutes, my CloudFormation stack has completed. And if I go to my S3 bucket, I'm just going to refresh it. And it is the same bucket, but in the bucket we have enabled the server-side encryption using KMS key. So if you go to the properties, and here if you go further down, then here you can see the default encryption, and here you can see the encryption using KMS key, and it is ending with the ARN, which you can see, which is ending with the 5DED, which is the ARN of our KMS key. So this is how we are we have enabled the KMS key encryption on our S3 bucket using the Cloudformation template. Alright, so now you're a bit familiar with how to create your S3 bucket, how to work with your Cloudformation template. And if you want to learn more about the S3, then I have already uploaded a detailed session which is around 2 hours long on AWS S3. So which you can find onto my YouTube channel if you are just getting started and you want to learn more about the S3. Then here, if you go to my channel, then here I have already uploaded a video which is for AWS S3, which you can see. I'll just show you just a minute. So here you can see this is the project which I have created. So this is the AWS S3, which will give you a very deep dive down onto the AWS S3 and how to use your AWS S3. And also along with that, I have also uploaded one more session on using the S3 with Terraform. So the same thing which I have also covered, but here we are using the AWS Terraform. So if you are new to the AWS S3, then I would recommend to follow those sessions as well. And also considering subscribing to this channel, because that will mean a lot for me, because that keep me boosted for creating such kind of a content. Okay, anyway, so let's get back to our code over here, and here we have just enabled the encryption settings over here on our S3 bucket. The next thing which we are going to try is to enable the versioning, enable the like a public access, which we can enable also and disable also. And then also we can set up a log bucket so that whatever happening into our bucket which we have just created, we can log those activity in another bucket. So that we can do. So what we are going to do, we are just going to enable all of it, and then we are just going to see how it behaves. So here I'm just going to enable the versioning. Here I'm just gonna enable the public section enable or disable settings over here. And then I'm just gonna also enable the object locking. So if you have uploaded an object to your S3 bucket, then you can also set up the locking onto that particular object using this particular parameter. So here these are the things which I have enabled, and I could show you the existing state of my S3 bucket like how it is right now. So here you can see the server access logging, it is disabled right now, but now we want to enable it, and we want to configure some another bucket to store those logs. So for that, here we are just gonna set up these particular bucket. Okay, and here I'm passing the another bucket, which is this one. This is the bucket for storing the logs, which I have already passed over here with the variable name. All right. Here the public access, so like if you go to permission, then here you can see by default the public block public access is on, so it is disabled right now. But here you can just toggle, and then you can just set the value. If you want to disable it, then you can just set the value to false, and then your public access will be enabled on your S3 bucket. So it's up to you. Then second, here I have enabled the versioning. So if I go to properties, I guess, and if I see the versioning, so here you can see the versioning is also disabled. So here I'm also trying to enable the versioning over here. So now we have enabled these many sections. So I'm just going to save this YML. I'm just going to go to our Cloudformation, click on update, click on replace existing template, click on upload, select the file, open the file from our desktop, select the file, click on open, and go next, click next, and then I'm just gonna click on submit. So here again, it is going to take a couple of minutes to update our Cloudformation and update those changes which we have just configured into our Cloudformation. So I'll be back once this has been executed, and then we can verify our S3 bucket for all those changes which we have requested. Okay, so after a few minutes, the Cloudformation stack had just finished, which you can see over here. And if you go to our S3 bucket, and here I'm just going to refresh this, and I'm just going to verify all those changes once again. So here you can see the bucket versioning is now enabled, which you can see, and the next thing which I'm just going to verify is the server access logging. So now it is also enabled, and now the logs of this particular bucket is stored into another bucket with this particular name. All right. After that, we enabled one more thing. I think it's versioning. Let me check. No, not versioning, but we also modified the setting of a block public access. But also, if you take a look, then we have set the value to true. By default, the value is always true. So the public block access is always on, so that your bucket is not always public. So that's why you don't see any changes over here. But the crux of all of these changes are that we are able to update our Cloudformation template, and it is making the changes onto our existing S3 resource, and we are able to execute that. Alright, so now we have seen like how to create your S3 bucket, set KMS key, versioning, public access, bucket logging using the Cloudformation. The next important topic which I would like to talk about is the drift. Which is quite important when you're working with the Cloudformation in your cloud engineer or DevOps role. So what is drift? So whenever you work with the Cloudformation, then what happens is that you always stick with the Cloudformation template, which is this one. So all the changes which you do, you always do with the Cloudformation. But in reality, sometimes it happens that a user or another developer is trying to modify the same resource, but not with the Cloudformation, but with using the AWS console. So although ideally you are just working with your Cloudformation template, which you can see, but the user, what he has done is that he just went to AWS console, gone to the AWS S3 bucket, and here he just started modifying some of the parameters. And due to that, it has created a difference between the actual resource and the Cloudformation, because here. So that difference is called as drift. So how to do and how to simulate that drifting? So what we need to do, I will just work with one variable, which is like a versioning. So ideally from Cloudformation template, this particular versioning is enabled, but some user gone to S3 bucket, clicked on edit, and he has suspended the versioning over here, and click on alright, so it is just giving me warning, so I will just acknowledge and then click on save. And here you can see we have suspended our versioning, but from GUI or the AWS console. But if you take a look onto the Cloudformation template, then it tells it is enabled. But in practice, in reality, it is not enabled because someone has disabled it from the GUI. So how to detect those differences? So those differences can be detected using the drift. So what you can do, if you go to Cloudformation template, this is the Cloudformation template which we have created. Select that template, go to the stack action and click on detect drift. So select that one, and here you can see the drift detection has been started. So I'll be back once this drift detection has completed and we can view the results. Alright, so after a couple of minutes, my drift detection has completed. So I'm again gonna select the same S3 bucket and go to the stack option and click on view drift results. Click on that, and here you can see the drift status it shows is drifted. And which you can see over here is that the drift status has been modified. Select this one and click on view drift detail. And here you can verify that it is specifically telling you that the versioning configuration status not equal to enabled, the current value is suspended. So it is telling you that expected value is enabled, and expected value it is taking it from here, because the Cloudformation should be in sync with our S3 bucket, and which is not. So right now the value is suspended and the expected value should be enabled. So that's how you create a you can create a drift in your resources in AWS S3, and this is the utility which you can use to detect a drift while working with the Cloudformation template with different resources in AWS. To fix this, what you can do, you can just go to your S3 bucket, click on edit the versioning, click on enable, and then click on save changes. And once it is saved, then you can again start a drift detection, and then it should show you that it is in sync. So what you can just do, again go to Cloudformation, click on stack action, click on detect drift, and it has started a detection on that particular drift, and after a couple of minutes it should be in sync. So I'll be back once this process has finished and I can show you the final status. Here you can see the final status. Right now it went back to in sync and everything is good. Everything is green right now, so there is no more drift into our AWS S3 resource. But the same concept applies to any other resource if you are trying to use the CloudFormation for any other resource in AWS. Sorry for a pause over here, and if you are liking this kind of a content, then I have some like a membership on my YouTube channel where I keep on uploading some more premium content for my YouTube community member, and those are like not available on to my public YouTube channel. So if you really want to learn or excel into these cloud and DevOps role, then considering joining those AWS community, which could be beneficial for you because there I have been using like a more industry grade practices and tools to create the similar environment and similar project for my audiences. So please have a look, and if you think those are useful, then consider joining that one. Let's get back to the topic. All right, so now we have pretty much covered all of the topic, and the last one is remaining, which is like you can upload your CloudFormation template from your GitHub repository as well. So how to do that? So it is very simple, and what you need to do, I'll just close and switch to that window of my AWS console. Click on create stack, click on new resources, and here you need to select the option sync from Git, and after that you just need to create a connector. So click on next over here, and after that you just need to choose the link GitHub repository, select that one. Here we need to choose the repository. So here you can see there is no repository because we need to create a connector. And to do that, let me check where the connector settings are. And here you can see you need to click on link GitHub repository, go to GitHub, click on add new connection over here, and then you need to choose which is GitHub, and then you can click on connect GitHub. Here you need to enter the name, so I'm just gonna put Rahul GitHub connector name and then click on connect GitHub, and it will take you to the GitHub repository page. And here you can see, just click on connect, and here you can see I have already authorized, so my connector is ready. And once this connector is ready, then you can easily browse the GitHub repository in AWS, and then you can select your CloudFormation template, and then you can just create the CloudFormation template from your GitHub repository as well. So that's how simple it is if you don't want to upload the CloudFormation template from your local workstation. So I hope you like this particular session on CloudFormation template, and which will help you to understand CloudFormation template much better. If you have any comments, then please consider putting into the comment section. And if you like this content, then keep on following and subscribing to this channel. See you in the next session. Till then, take care and bye bye.